Okay, today we are going to talk about Kraken Robotics. Again, why microcap? I'm not going to say that again. Be your own financial advisor, fire your advisor, and save 2 full percentage points. It means an enormous sum of money over the long term. And we look at microcap ideas because it's fun. So today we look at Kraken Robotics, the pride of Newfoundland. Kraken Robotics, the Royal Dutch Navy contract. Now, before we do that, let's take a look at its share price. Here it is. Kraken Robotics trades on the TSX, the Venture Exchange in Vancouver, 58 cents. Here is a long-term chart, and the current market cap is $96 million. So what is Kraken Robotics? Actually, you know what? Let's go here. Let's see what it says in the profile. Kraken Robotics is a marine technology company. It designs, manufactures, and sells software-centric sensors, batteries, and underwater robotic systems for unmanned underwater vehicles used in both military and commercial applications. So what is Kraken Robotics? To expand on that a bit, they're a marine technology company supplying advanced sonar and optical sensors, batteries now, and underwater robotics equipment for military and commercial applications. The company, I believe they created, and if they didn't create, they are the world leader in synthetic aperture sonar. So this is somewhat revolutionary. And they developed this in 2012, and this has been their bread and butter since. And they've expanded on this product line. These guys are on the cutting edge of technology for underwater things. Okay, so let's get into their products. Okay, so they have data gathering products. Synthetic aperture sonar. This is what we talked about. Kraken is a leader in this industry. This is important stuff. Look at it this way. They've got technology that takes pictures under the water, uses computer power to enhance these pictures, and their pictures are more refined and defined than any of their competitors. So that's one of their products. The next one is C-Vision 3D laser systems. So this is very interesting. This, they'll attach it to potentially an underwater vehicle or even competitors' products. It will go down under the water. It will scan infrastructure. Think of a mooring chain. That's the example they use all the time. You don't want that chain to break, so somebody has to be performing integrity management and integrity evaluation on these types of things. The oil and gas industry is very interested in these types of things. All those assets that are subsea, they're up against the harsh reality of Mother Nature. So these things have to be evaluated and maintained continually. Well, anything that lowers the cost of evaluation or maintenance is very interesting to all these companies and groups who have assets subsea. Okay, so those are their 2 data gathering products. Platform products, catfish, towed unmanned underwater vehicles. So you hook a sensor to it, you tow it along the surface. It might be below the surface, but it's still tethered to the boat, and you gather data. The thunderfish, this one is quite neat. I should show you a picture. I'm going to show you a picture of the thunderfish. Let me see if I can find it. There's a picture of their thunderfish. So it's an autonomous vehicle. It doesn't have to service. It can park and recharge its batteries underwater, and it's got all the sensors, and it can even deliver a payload. Okay, so back to the presentation. There we go. So autonomous unmanned underwater vehicles, Kraken Power. Research and manufacture batteries designed to withstand water pressure to a depth of 6,000 meters. They are a leader in this category too. A lot of competitors are using Kraken's batteries. So there is their product line. Now they also have services, products and now services. Robotics as a service. So they will take their products, their platform products and their data gathering products with their power products and do what a client wants them to do. A client might say, hey, look, we want you to map the seafloor around our harbor, and we want to have a presence there all the time, an underwater presence there all the time. Instead of the client buying these products, they'll just contract contract Kraken to do it. So that's robotics as a service and data as a service. Kraken is mapping the seafloors, and there's a lot of companies and groups who would benefit from that data. Well, Kraken will have the data and they'll sell them the data. So those are the products and services of Kraken. Okay, so robotics have proven their worth on and above ground. And it is expected that robotics will play an ever-increasing role in the subsea world. More activities subsea will be completed in whole or in part without submersing humans. Look, you want to see something crazy. As crazy as this sounds, people are trying it. This company just went bankrupt. Okay, they were trying to mine the seafloor. They found a deposit of ore. I don't know what it was, whether it was copper or gold, I don't know. And they were trying to extract that from the seafloor and bring it to the top. I think they were a little too early for that. But you can see where this may be headed in the future. You know, you find a deposit of gold 1,000 meters below sea level, maybe you don't just ignore it. Okay, so air drones. So this is talking about that vehicle I showed you, basically. Air drones have proven their value in both military and commercial operations. There is absolutely no reason that subsea shouldn't be using drones. You know, you stick a whole bunch of humans below the surface of the sea, and that is dangerous. If you can do that without humans, that's an appealing prospect to every single Navy that is out there. You know, military applications and commercial entities have an interest in unobstructed commerce. A few well-placed mines can wreak havoc on international commerce. You can see that every harbor or every watered area around heavily populated areas would want some ongoing inspection of what's happening close by under the sea. And that's part of Kraken's business. So timing. The underwater marine market was supposed to take off after air drones proved their value. I would say it's fair to say that the progress has been slower than expected. Now this might be a positive for Kraken investors. You know, either one, it's going to take off, or two, it's going to remain slow. I'm kind of betting on the first, and even if it's the second, we know it's growing. It's just not growing at a speed that we thought it would be growing at. Now, the estimates for the size of the market are all over the place, so I don't place too much importance in this. But Kraken's total addressable market is $5 billion now, according to Kraken. And let me show you what they say. So a $5 billion maritime robotics market, key drivers: mine warfare, anti-submarine warfare, intelligence, surveillance, recon, resurgence in underwater warfare, unmanned systems budget growing rapidly, but still it's small, of the U.S. Department of Defense. This is growing, and that's one of the reasons that a lot of people are interested in this industry. Offshore energy, 7,000 fixed platforms offshore, 200 floating platforms, 4,000 subsea wells. All their infrastructure has to be evaluated. And that's where the robotics comes into it. You send that unmanned vehicle down there, and you scan the assets, and you see if you can come up with, you know, anomalies in the metal or corrosion in the metal that you weren't expecting. And that may save a lot of money instead of sending divers down below. Okay, so that's it. So that's kind of a summary of Kraken. Now, what I wanted to talk about is that they just won a significant big contract. And I want to point out the ramifications of this contract. The Royal Dutch Navy recently awarded Kraken a $36 million contract. Kraken beat out Northrop Grumman, Thales, DMS, and Mind Technology to win the contract. Now, Kraken's CFO expects that $22 million of revenue will be recognized over the next 8 to 12 quarters. So if we just straight line 22 million divided by 12 quarters, we get 1.8 million per quarter. Now, I've communicated with the CFO. He says absolutely it won't be straight lined. It'll be recognized as either the work is done or product is delivered to the client, but it won't be 1.8 million per quarter. It could be, but it doesn't necessarily have to be 1.8 million per quarter, but that's all we can go by. So we take a look at the ramifications of this. Okay, the Royal Dutch Navy contract, it's further validation as well. You know, these guys, that when they're signing a contract like us, their equipment, their products, services have been evaluated up the yin-yang, and they've gotten a green light. Okay. So here's what we do. Let me go to the spreadsheet instead of that. Okay, so here is 2019 revenue for 2019. 2017 revenue was 3 million. 2018 6.7 million. 2019 15 million, and I estimate 2020, once the fourth quarter comes in, is 16.6. Now that is a little bit pessimistic, but we're talking about a COVID year here. So now I want to show what is the effect of this Royal Dutch Navy contract for the next 4 quarters. So if I take Q4, that's 2020, that's the quarter we're in right now, and simply take Q4 2019 and add $1.8 million to it for the RDN contract, we get to $6,450. In Q1, we do the same thing, F4, that's Q1 2020 plus 1.833 gets us to 8 million, 8.2 million. Q2, 4.1 million. Q3, 2021, 3.4 million. Okay, so what does that mean? That means if we use the current price to sales ratio for Kraken is about at 6.5. Historically, it's been between 5.5 and 6.5. So I'm using 6 as an estimate. If we take the next 4 quarters sales and multiply it by 6, we get a market cap of 133 million. So they're currently at, what did we say, 95 million? That is a 36% increase from now. So if they have no other growth, which is almost ridiculous, so they have no other growth, they're just adding the value of the Royal Dutch Navy contract to last year's quarter. That means that the shares are based on a 6 price to sales ratio. Is the shares need to rise 36% to over the next 12 months. Let me say that again. So in our highly pessimistic scenario, our scenario is sales don't grow except for the Royal Dutch Navy contract. So that is highly pessimistic. But the Royal Dutch Navy contract is highly significant. It's a big contract. And that's kind of what we're trying to show here. So the effects of the Royal Dutch Navy contract is a sales growth that is significant. You can see 40% in Q4, 29% in Q1 2021, 80% in Q2 2021, and 119% in Q3 2021. So we're using a 6 price to sales ratio. So their sales, there's our sales. If we multiply that by 6, we get a market cap of 133. That equates to 79 cents per share. and the current share price is around 58. That means we got to rise 36%. Shares have to rise 36% to be in a similar situation that they are today. So that's the power of the Royal Dutch Navy contract. So that's it, man. I like the idea of the industry they're in. You know, it is obviously a growing industry. How fast, we're not specifically sure about that. But I like the industry, and I really like the contract they just signed. So what do we want to see going forward? Actually, working capital is not an issue. They raised $10.4 million after the last quarter, and even at the last quarter, liquidity wasn't an issue. Now they're growing fast. They're hiring people, which is a good sign, but it's going to raise some expenses in the short term. What do we want to see? We want to see contracts signed, like Royal Dutch Navy, probably smaller, but contracts are a validation of their product and services. And we want to see some progress on robotics as a service and the data analytics. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching.